Hello and welcome to cheapsheds.com. For more information on this shed project and to see all my videos, go to www.cheapsheds.com/videos. This video is about how to build a wooden storage shed or garden shed for my gable roof shed plans. But first, I have several recommendations that will save you time, money, and effort. The first is to use 2x4 pre-cuts if you can find them. Pre-cuts are 2x4s that are 92 and 5/8 inches long as opposed to the normal 8 foot. Use them for wall studs and trusses and you'll save 20 to 50 cents per board. If your building supply store doesn't carry them, just use full 2x4x8 lumber. The second thing I suggest is to use screws instead of nails. Screws have better pulling power and can pull a twisted board into place better than a nail can. Screws also have better holding power. This means that they will hold a 2x4 frame in place tighter and longer than nails can. Whether you're using screws or nails, I recommend drilling 1/8 inch pilot holes when assembling the frame because this will prevent splitting the ends of your board. Also, your nails or screws will not go astray because of the grain of the wood, nor will you have a problem with knots. This might add a little additional time to your shed building project, but it will make construction much easier for the novice builder. But if you do have a nail gun, then by all means use it. Just be careful not to split the ends of your wood. Using pre-primed 4x8 sheets of composite siding will allow you to build your shed in the least amount of time and for the least amount of money. And composite siding holds paint much better than natural wood. This will save you the step of applying a base coat of primer, and your paint job will last longer, which means you won't have to paint your shed as often. And finally, I suggest making your own trim from sheets of composite hardboard siding. You can buy 4x8 sheets of the same siding but with no grooves and rip them into 2.5 inch strips with a table saw. If your building supply store doesn't sell no groove siding, then just use regular groove siding. But then you will have to spend a little additional time cutting around the grooves if you want your trim to look its best. 2 sheets of no groove siding will give you more than enough trim to build up to a 12x20 shed. For this, you don't absolutely need a table saw. You can cut the trim strips with a circular saw, but your cuts will probably not be nearly as clean as if you use a table saw. In fact, I suggest that you borrow or rent a table saw because if you don't have one, because it will give you a much cleaner finished shed. Now here's a list of tools you need to build your shed. If you don't have some of them, you probably know someone who does that will lend them to you for a weekend or two. As far hand tools, you're going to need a claw hammer, a tape measure and a pencil, a speed square, a builder's level, a chalk line, a pair of tin snips, a step ladder, a utility knife, and a handsaw. For power tools, you'll need a couple of extension cords, a circular saw, an electric drill, and an 1/8 inch drill bit, and a couple of Phillips screwdriver bits. You'll need a router with a 1/4 inch bit and a follow collar. And I strongly suggest you use a table saw. For paint equipment, you need a caulk gun, you need a brush, a roller, and a cage, and or a spray gun. Now, before we get started with the actual building, I have a couple of disclaimers. You might need building permits to build a shed in your area, so check with your local building department before you get started. The construction techniques in these plans might not meet building codes in your area, as building codes vary around the country. So your building department might ask you to make a few changes to these plans. But the building departments are usually very helpful and will let you know exactly what their requirements are. And finally, even though I have built thousands of sheds just like this with no problem, I make no guarantees about the structural integrity of this shed. Please visit us online at www.cheapsheds.com for a transcript of this video and to see my other videos in this How to Build a Shed series.